India's Odisha state is in mourning after a crash involving 3 trains killed at least 280 people in one of the country's worst rail disasters in decades. The deaths followed a collision between 2 passenger trains and a freight train some 220 kilometers southwest of Kolkata. Officials say all the bodies and hundreds of injured passengers have now been removed from the accident site. Prime Minister Narendra Modi flew to the crash scene and spent half an hour examining the relief efforts and talking to rescue officials. He then visited a number of the injured in hospital. India's railway minister has ordered a high-level inquiry into the collision to determine if it was caused by human error in signalling or track deterioration. Despite government efforts to improve rail safety, several hundred accidents occur every year on India's railways, the largest train network under one management in the world. Turkey's 20-year leader, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, was sworn in for a 3rd presidential term on Saturday. This latest mandate will extend his rule until 2028, marking a quarter of a century in power. All eyes are on the announcement of his new cabinet, which should indicate whether there will be a continuation of unorthodox economic policies or a return to more conventional ones. The country of 85 million controls NATO's 2nd largest army, hosts millions of refugees, and played a crucial role in brokering a deal that allowed the shipment of Ukrainian grain, averting a global food crisis. Dozens of foreign dignitaries traveled to attend the ceremony, including NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg and Carl Bildt, a high-profile former Swedish Prime Minister. They are expected to press President Erdogan to lift his country's objections to Sweden's membership in the military alliance, which requires unanimous approval by all allies.
Northern Kosovo and ethnically Serbian protesters gathered in the town of Zvecan. It's in the Serb-majority Mitrovica region, and they're demanding the removal of ethnically Albanian mayors elected in April elections, largely boycotted by the region's Serbs. They also want the withdrawal of Kosovo's special forces. The protest took place in the presence of KFOR soldiers, NATO-led peacekeepers who stepped up their presence in Zvecan following clashes on May the 29th that left 80 people injured. Kosovo's Prime Minister Albin Kurti accused Belgrade of orchestrating those clashes, saying they were planned, well-organised and had an author. He said the author is official Belgrade. Kosovo, a former region of Serbia, became independent in 2008 but has never been recognised by Belgrade.
3 Israeli soldiers and 1 Egyptian officer were killed along their shared border after a deadly gunfight broke out on Saturday. An Israeli military spokesperson said the fighting began overnight when soldiers thwarted a drug smuggling attempt across the border. A male and female soldier were found dead at an army post. The army said the Egyptian police officer was killed in a second exchange of fire in which a 3rd soldier was killed. Deadly violence is rare between the countries who signed a peace treaty in 1979 and maintain close security ties. The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries and their allies met in Vienna on Saturday for 2 days of meetings to decide on the level of their oil production for the coming months. The group faces flagging oil prices and a looming supply glut. Investors in the sector are waiting to know whether OPEC, responsible for 40% of global oil output, will slash production for the 3rd time since October or leave its current level of pumping unchanged at 1.5 million barrels a day. It's the end of a bittersweet journey. Football club Paris Saint-Germain has confirmed Lionel Messi's departure at the end of the season after a 2-year stay. Messi, 35, played his last match for the PSG on Saturday evening against Clermont to the sounds of jeers and whistles. The Argentinian scored 32 goals in 74 matches, but the club failed to perform well in the Champions League, and for many fans, he embodied the team's shortcomings. The 7 times Ballon d'Or winner's contract is set to expire at the end of June.